Hello, today's January 2nd, 2024. Want to wish everyone a happy new year. And also today, basically, I'm back to the coal face, as they say. I'm doing more renovation work on my house, and I've decided to move to a different area for now, barring the return of my trusty assistant. In the secret room, the main thing left for sheetrock is on the sloping sections, which I could do myself, but which it's much easier if you have someone to handle the other end of each piece. So basically, I've decided I'm going to stop that for a little bit and then focus on this. There's endless amounts of things to do, and it's just a question of what priority. I'm sitting up in the west-facing bedroom that looks out onto my neighbor's house on that side, and I am beginning to do work on the stairwell. And what you see in front of me first is there's a bunch of studs and the doors next to the light. I might as well tell you that the stairwell was the last thing that I did the demolition work on, for reasons I'll explain. But basically, at the top of the stairs is my bedroom, which is the master bedroom. And it isn't finished. I got to do woodwork in here and a little more electrical hookup. Some of the electrical hookup I had to put off till I had made decisions as to what to do with this wall, but this is the place, so that's where we are. And if I come back here looking down the stairs, we see the lower vestibule, and I'm standing in what's called the upper vestibule, and each one is characterized by the fact that they've got 4 doors. Now I should say, so there's this door. Put a new doorknob on that, that's cool. Then I haven't put the new doorknob on this, which I will. I kept the doors because I like the idea of refinishing the old doors, which I will do. And I felt as though the door frame, if you look around the edges, the door fits the frame perfectly. And there's really no air leaks around the edges of the frame. And all that, and it'll be even better when woodwork is on. But the 4 doors are, first there's the one to my bedroom. This one goes to what was formerly a closet with the hobbit door. The hobbit door has been enlarged, and it goes to the secret room. This door is to what will be, hopefully, the upstairs bathroom, if I ever get that far. Then finally, this door is into the other front bedroom of the house, which is where a lot of construction materials and odd pieces of sheetrock and what have you are just being stored until I figure out what to do with them. Now, one of the things about this is, besides the doors and refinishing the doors, I'm a believer in keeping the partitions and not really working on making major changes to the footprint of the way the rooms are. I think when I read up on people who have renovated a house and hired a designer or something, there's been a trend that's gone on for 40 years in which they open up the house and have an open floor plan, especially on the especially on the first floor, with the idea that more space is better. I'm still an adherent to the idea that this is northern New England, and if we keep the smaller rooms to some degree, then if we close off those rooms, we save on heat, and we further cut down on airflow through the building, which becomes important in winter, controlling the airflow. If you have the inside is one big cavernous room, I think that you don't maximize the energy efficiency of it. Now, so I kept it pretty much, when I demolished this, I kept the footprint of where the partitions were, and that has its own challenges. Now on the far side of the stairs, we see those are a bunch of 2x4s of the hemlock 2x4s of the old-fashioned 2x4, which means they're actually 2x4s. And they're set sideways, but they're 16 inches on center. And what would have been the point of taking that down? Nothing, because I would have put up something else that was still 16 inches on center, and wasted a bunch of good boards by taking those ones out, so I left them. Now, I put sheetrock on the other side, which has been plastered, and it's almost like living in a movie set. I know when I'm there, I look at that wall and say, oh, that's a beautiful wall. But then on the other side, this is what it looks like. I didn't cover it at the time for various reasons. Next, in front of those, I have the partitions of the other side, or the studs from the other side. And the studs here are basically about 36 inches on center, which is not up to current day building code, because if you're putting sheetrock up on those, you can't go too long of a run between attaching it to something firm behind it. So what I'm going to have to do for those is actually buy more 2x4 inch studs and add pieces in between to make it so that we have a good nailing surface here. And what will happen was, when I do that, I'll put the sheetrock on this side of that wall, because I haven't finished doing the electric, and I will run some electric wires through that partition. So part of this is, I'm kind of doing the carpentry pieces of it. I'm doing the sheetrock pieces of it, but I can't divorce those from also doing the electric that will service this area. I actually had run electric wires through the exterior walls prior to the foaming, so those are done, but I want some wires on this wall, actually on each of these two walls, or partitions, I guess you'd call them. Now, the challenge here is several. One is, I want to do the ceiling before I do the walls. And what I'm going to be doing is the ceiling above the stairwell. And that's tricky. Like I said before, this was the last thing I demolished. This little area was the last thing I took the old plaster and lath off of when I was there. And it has several things about it. One is, if I was trying to work up there, and then somehow I should slip off my footing surface, I would probably have, what is that, probably 16 feet to fall before I landed and broke both hips and both femurs in my skull. So this does require setting up a platform here that will be safe enough for me to scoot along it and put sawhorses on there to work on the ceiling. Not going to move a ladder, because it's just as hard to have a tall ladder in there as it would be to build this platform. Now, the nice thing about doing the sheetrock in the big bedroom the way I did was, I left a ledge. I knew I was going to have to do that, so that's part of the reason I left it there. I will get more of these boards, and I'll actually screw in the far end to the ledge so they won't move. And then I'll be able to lay them across like these sections of 2x4, and then get some 2x6s and lay them the other way, so that I will be able to walk on there and have a sturdy surface. Might not have ever told you, but I once fell off my own roof in Norwich Walk, and I don't care to repeat that experience. I'm lucky I wasn't seriously injured then. I'll be darned if I'm going to seriously injure myself now. Anyway, so I'm going to have to do that, then put this up, and then I have to make some final decisions about whether I want to run any more wiring through this wall before I put the sheetrock up on it. Then I'll actually put the top piece up first and then work my way down so that I'll still retain that ledge until the last possible moment. And it might be that I only sheetrock the second floor. Now, one of the advantages of planning it out this way is at the bottom there on the left, you can see the door to the part of the house that has the paneling. When I leave that part is fully warm. That's kept at 66 degrees. And it's just glorious there. On the other hand, the bedroom where I sleep last night was 54 degrees because it doesn't have any active heat going in there. And the upstairs is cooler. There are no heating vents up here, and there are no heating elements that are installed. And right now it's probably about 60 degrees in here, so this isn't so bad. But when I open that door, I can feel all the cold air trying to get into the warm part. And I feel as though if I completely close off this stairwell the way it's supposed to be, and then have the doors all able to close, I'll be able to sequester whatever cooler area might be whatever cooler air might be gathering up here, and generally keep some of the heat downstairs that needs to be, or at least directed only into whichever room I leave the door open for. By the way, I said it was 54 degrees. The outside temperature last night was 12 degrees. So this is a testament to the spray foam insulation that even with no active heat, I'm still maintaining the interior temperature of that room basically 40 degrees warmer than the atmosphere outside. So that's still, it's cool in there, but I have 3 blankets and an electric blanket. And it's warm to the point where I don't want to get out of bed in the morning just because I'm really comfortable. And that's one of the things I always liked about backpacking in autumn, is that you could be really warm and comfortable in your sleeping bag, sleeping with the cool air and all that stuff. Hygienic health benefits, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so now the thing I'm going to have to do with this ceiling here is, when they put this here, there's some interesting things here. One is the partitions are not load-bearing. So there's no structure above them. And this board here, the main purpose of this board is to just hold the place where that is, and the plaster and lath would have stiffened it so it wouldn't move back and forth. And the other thing we notice is that on this side of it, when they put the lath up, they put the lath up before they built the partition, although they had not put the plaster onto the lath until after the partition was up, because then there was lath everywhere. So that means in taking this down, there's a layer of lath between the stud and that stiffening board going there. And I want to make sure this ceiling is flat and as level as I can make it. So the thing here is I could go leveling every single one of these things more than they are. There's a clear delineation between the left and the right. But I decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some furring strips up there to make it a better nailing surface or a better screwing surface for the sheetrock when it goes up. And I've just been, part of what I'm trying to do is figure out, should I put the long edge pieces of furring that way and then put crossways ones that the screws actually go in, or should I put the crossways ones in first and then the long furring? And that's kind of a decision to be made. Now, this same issue what it's attached to on the top end of the studs is a bit more pronounced even over here on the other side of this whole thing, because this is now, we're looking into the secret room. This is where the Hobbit door used to be. And there was a partition here. This thing here where I'm standing right now used to be a closet. And I'm trying to think if you can see this, but basically this partition here, one of the things that was holding it in place was the lath. And I've got to find a way to secure that so that that doesn't wiggle back and forth. You know, boisterous young adults will be in here someday and they'll knock the darn thing over, which I don't want to have them do. But so there's, you know, this isn't real structural work because it's not, I could rip this whole thing out and just leave no partitions here and it would not affect the integrity or the load bearing of the roof. That's the way it is. But this does involve craftsmanship and cunning in putting it together so that it's stabilized and will be ready to serve what for hopefully another 100 years like the old plaster and lath did. And there we go. But I have, you know, some building debris I got to take out here. I keep the wood scraps because I'm going to use them in the wood stove in the garage. I have two chimneys here. This one here is totally unusable and would be unsafe. The one on the other side has the forced hot air exhaust from the oil furnace going through it, and that has been inspected by a chimney sweep as well as the furnace guy, who are both here on the same day. And it has a continuous liner, and that other one's in fine shape. Ultimately, I will take this chimney down. Not in the wintertime because there's another 6 feet of it protruding through the roof, but I'm going to just take the whole darn thing down and go from there. I did that in Norwich Walk with the chimney. I'm not really looking forward to it, but if I hire someone who will take the top part off up till about where the rafters are, I can get the rest of this down into the cellar off by just chipping at it and throwing pieces out the window. And that's where we go. So basically, over the next few weeks here, I don't work on this 8 hours a day. A carpenter, a professional carpenter, could get this done in 3 days up to code and standard. But I don't work full time on this because I'm trying to just have it be part of the routine. But this is kind of like going to give you the idea. I guess the last thing I haven't talked about is there will be a light with a multi-directional switch here. There will be a switch up top near the door to my bedroom and a switch down below which will turn on the stairwell lights. And there will be probably 3 light fixtures. There will be one roughly where that one is now in the middle. There will be one shining down to the depths of the stairwell. And then there will be one in the lower vestibule. So the one remaining issue is where to run the light switch wiring and all that. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to have it run on this side, even though the switch itself will be on the other side. And having decided that, I'm most likely that I'll continue it from a circuit I got down there, and maybe even from the main service panel. So it won't be on the sub panel from here. Now what will be on the sub panel from here will be, I am planning to put a heating element in the upstairs bedroom, an electric heating element, and that's going to go on, hopefully will go on a circuit from the sub panel up here even those 8-foot sections of heating element are usually 220-volt current, so I'm going to have to get a thick wire to go from this wall into where the sub panel will ultimately be. I'm not going to hook that up this winter, I hope, but I want to be able to get it. So if I'm going to do it, I need to put that wire in before I finish this other wall. And also I'm actually going to put insulation in there, not really because it needs more insulation. This yellow foamed in stuff is doing the insulation, but I want to be able to have it so that room is got a little bit more soundproofing in it. So I still have electrical decisions to make regarding that wall, and it's what to do with that. I've got the 2 outlets there, and that wire that's loose that runs up next to the door, that goes to the ceiling lights, and there's a switch on the inside wall there. But then, so the 2 decisions are getting appropriate wiring to the heating element I think that room will use, and then also, like I say, the 3-way switch. I'm thinking I'm gonna run the 3-way switch from the main panel, essentially by hooking onto a circuit I've already got, and then run it up through this partition on this side, the one with the wide gaps, then over the top and down into the middle there. I've got that big board near where the tap rail is, near where the hand railing is, and that's going to have something to that's going to impact where exactly the switch for the upstairs switch box goes. I kind of don't want to have it on this. I don't want to have the switch on this side. That would be easier. I'm going to be consulting with my electrical consultant. Part of it is we have to deal with it from the electrical viewpoint, but then also from the hand convenience viewpoint. If I put it on this wall, it'll be on the right hand of anybody going up. But then if I put it on the other wall, it will be reachable right as soon as you exit or enter the bedroom door, which is probably more convenient for people. But this is what it's going to be now. In that little anteroom, this still has the painted gray boards, which served as all the floors around here. The interesting part of these is none of these are slipped underneath where the studs are. They'll be extremely easy to take up and then construct a new floor on top of the old subflooring, so that will look more modern than it presently does. But I think this is longer than my usual video, and I'm going to end this here. Bye.